All right, you guys, so this week I have the Giulia Quadrifoglio and the Tesla Model 3 Performance. Let's see which one of these super sedans is the best. All right, you guys, just to set a little bit of foundation for this review, I'm gonna do the exterior and the interior of both cars, talk about the features, then we're gonna drive both. I'm gonna talk about the handling characteristics. We're gonna see which one is faster, and at the end, I'm gonna tell you guys which one I personally think is the better vehicle. All right, so starting with the Model 3 Performance. Now, I love the way this thing looks. In the black right here, I think it looks fantastic. I love the 20-inch wheels. They do a great job of really filling out those wheel wells a lot better than any other version of the Model 3. Now, you do have the bigger brakes on here, so you can have 4 piston calipers up front on the Model 3, and I think they look great. They're really, really big brakes. I believe they're about 14-inch size rotors, so you guys can get a good idea of how big they are right there. But other than that, it's pretty much standard Model 3 looks. You either hate it or you love it. Personally, I like it. So that is one thing I do want to stress about this review. I am actually a huge fan of both vehicles, so I don't have a bias towards one or another. These are both two cars I would pick up, and this review is of course for you guys, but mainly to see if I had the money, which one of these two would I be happier with, which one would I buy with my own money, and that's what I also want to find out. So the reason I like the Model 3 and the way it looks and the performance version is because it is truly the world's best sleeper vehicle. I mean, unless you go to like a P100D, but in terms of being somewhat affordable, this one coming in roughly around mid $60,000 price range, it is a good price, good bargain. And of course, being all electric, you do have all of your batteries down here really low, 450 horsepower, 471 pound-feet of torque. But yeah, overall, I just love the look of the Model 3. I think it looks fantastic, especially from a profile. All right, so now getting into the Model 3, there's two ways to do it. You can use the card key or you can use your phone app to get in. Now, I have the key in my pocket, the card key in my pocket, and all you would do is you would scan it on this little guy right here. There's like an area hidden right in this piano block there, and then you got your door handle, which just pops out just like that. All right, so up inside the Model 3, let's go ahead and shut the door. Pretty good. You guys heard the water squeaking. I actually just got this washed, so that's what you're hearing right there. But there's not much to see in here, guys. Very minimalist. So you can see here, you just have your screen, a little bit of wood here, and that is going to be it. Now, let's talk about this for just a second because, you know, a lot of people definitely think that it is not, you know, good to have it this minimalist. I sort of agree, sort of disagree. I think it fits the brand at this point. So I think now that Tesla has gone the minimalist route basically since their birth, I think it fits them. I think it's like a thing that only they can do at this point in time. If anyone else were to try it, it just wouldn't be good. I mean, and that's the benefit of them being, you know, a baby company, really. I know they've been around for like 10 plus years, but still, either way, I think this style fits them and people love it. I know I don't mind it at all. I get in this and I don't think, man, I need a lot more buttons or anything like that. Using the screen, you get used to it. You know, being 26 years old, I'm used to using all kinds of tech like this. It's just like using my iPhone, exactly like using my iPhone. So the learning curve is almost zero. And once you know where everything is at, it's just really easy to navigate through, really easy to get used to. And once again, this is coming from someone that's 26 years old. If you're older and you probably actually have the money to afford this, then you may not be too fond of it. But at the same time, with me being 26 years old, once I get to a point to where I can afford this, this is going to be really appealing to me personally, because I love all the tech and everything like that. Now, the benefit of not having anything right here is this is my view from the front. So as you guys can see, I can see perfectly down the hood. It slopes low. I don't have anything here distracting my vision. And as you can also see, I can also see the speed, which will be right around here when I'm driving. It's like right in my peripheral vision. So this is probably the best, the most accurate view of what you see when you're driving the Tesla Model 3. And of course I'll do a POV later so you guys can actually see me driving it. Now everything is controlled through here. You guys have pretty much seen everything that there is to know. You can adjust your steering wheel right here. You have your throw it into drive right there, put it into reverse. You're going to have your backup camera that comes up, and you're gonna push the end of the stalk to put it into park. And over here to the left, you have your wiper here on the outside. You got your blinkers there, and you can also control your wipers by going through here somewhere. There we go. And they're off right now, and then you can adjust them there. Of course, you do have all of your Tesla Easter eggs in here, which is pretty cool. And then basically everything else here. So steering wheel, you can adjust by using this. So I think that's pretty cool. Properly robotic sounding, in my opinion. Glove box. And yeah, you got your wood here, which looks really decent. I think it looks okay. Personally, if I were to get a Tesla, I would only go for the white interior. And based off of videos I've seen on the internet, apparently it does not stain. Very interested to see if that is truly the case. But either way, the interior is pretty decent. You can stream music on here, which is pretty cool. And I think my favorite is this graphic whenever you're adjusting the AC. And you guys can see just how responsive it is. It's pretty insane. And if I put it together, it just becomes like one big stream. And so you can have 2 vents, or you can have 4 vents, or you can have 3 vents. It's pretty incredible, the just level of responsiveness that this whole system has. And I think that in itself is going to be something people are going to genuinely like fall in love with. I think it's really cool. And of course, being a Tesla, you get wireless updates and everything like that. So you have an area here to put your phone, and basically you're going to run your cord underneath here. And if you lift that up, there is your plug right there, and you have a bunch of other stuff, area to put stuff in down there. Now with this, if you push it too hard, that's what's going to happen. So you have to barely click it because it is a magnet. And then you've got your cup holders here. Now you have an area here, which if you have the card key, you're gonna place the card key on there. That will basically start the vehicle. And then right in here, you're gonna have a little bit of cubby space. It is lined in felt, which if you guys have seen any of my reviews, I love felt. Just keeps everything nice and quiet so you don't hear everything rattling around. And you guys saw you have your glove box there. As you come up, you are going to have your frameless mirror. You're going to have LED lights in here. And then your mirror here, which I think is cool because it kind of looks like a mirror my wife would love to do her makeup in. So you have that, and then you've got your giant glass roof, which looks gorgeous, goes all the way to the back. And that is going to be it, you guys. That's going to be everything in the interior portion of the Model 3. Let's go ahead and sit in the back seat and we'll check out the room there. All right, so sitting in the back of the Tesla Model 3. Now, first of all, I'm 6 feet tall, so sitting behind myself, I have roughly 2.5 to 3 inches of knee room, which is actually pretty good for a compact sedan. My feet can slide underneath the seats very easily. One thing to note in the back seat, because you don't have a transmission, you have a completely flat floor, and you have an area that you can actually slide your feet underneath the armrest right here, which is pretty cool. My headroom is okay. My hair is scraping the glass roof right here, and I can't like slouch down any, so I am a little bit tight back here. But once again, I'm 6 feet tall, so if you're above 6 feet tall or anything like that, you are going to have a little bit of a tough time fitting back here. Now, as far as your armrest, you do have an armrest, cup holders, everything like that. The headrests are not adjustable here. They are adjustable in the middle. Mat pockets behind each seat, 2 USB ports, vents back here, LED lights, an area to hang your dry cleaning, and that's pretty much going to be it. Once again, the seats have that same incredible, comfortable feeling, so I can definitely ride in this for a long time. But that's pretty much going to be it for the back seat. Let's go ahead and see the trunk space. All right, so coming to the back of the Model 3, here is your trunk space. So you guys can see it's pretty good. Hopefully you can see it. And then down here, you're going to have storage space. So I do have the charger in there, but if you leave that at home, you've got a ton of space underneath there. Very, very practical. And then of course you can fold the rear seats down to give you more room. The only thing I don't like is this portion kind of sticks out kind of far. But yeah, it's just really interesting. And you've got this gigantic gap right here when you lift up the trunk. You know, really nitpick stuff, but it is just something I wanted to point out. Definitely things that you notice upon first glance. But let's go ahead and see what's under the front hood. To the front, or the front trunk, there is going to be storage space because obviously you do not have an engine taking up space here. You also have hooks right here, so if you have groceries or anything like that, you can hook all your bags there. That way they're not flopping around. You're also going to have a little light right down here. And yeah, it's a good amount of space, pretty good. And then you have an area here to put windshield washer fluid. And that's pretty much going to be it. And of course, since you don't have an engine here, you just have more crumple zone. So effectively, this will make this one of the safest sedans probably in the world. Now, let's go ahead and check out the Giulia. All right, you guys, so next up is going to be the Giulia Quadrifoglio. Now, this is probably my favorite color that Alfa Romeo offers on this car. It is Misano blue. I like it even more than the red, but blue is also my favorite color. So a little biased when it comes to that. Now, if you guys have never heard of the Giulia, this is the fastest sedan around the Nürburgring. Now, I'm actually not sure if it still holds that title. So for now, I'm gonna say that it does. You guys can comment below if I am incorrect right there. But when it first came out, that's what made it so appealing. You know, before the Model 3 Performance, this was the sleeper sedan. This thing looks like it'd be a nice luxury vehicle, but it doesn't look too out there. It doesn't look as aggressive as like a BMW M3, which has those super wide flares in the back of the car and just got the big bulge in the hood, and it just doesn't look like that. It's a little bit toned down from that, not much. It has its own aggression, of course, in the styling, but for the most part, it just looks like a beautiful, elegant sedan, and no one would ever know that this thing was as capable as it is. So comparisons between this and the Model 3, obviously they each have their own design. People either hate or love one or the other. I love both. So like I said, that was the best part about this comparison, is I'm not more biased towards one or the other. They're both vehicles I've actually thought about owning. Now, coming to the front of the Giulia Quadrifoglio, now you guys can see here, it is a little more on the aggressive side compared to the Model 3, and I just want to point one thing out. This car is so attractive and is so appealing because these vents are functional, and we all know what these vents are there for, and because of that, it makes it attractive in our eyes. So for example, I know that these are to get heat out of the engine bay. I know that these are to go straight to the intercoolers to put nice cold air inside of those turbos, keep that rolling, and then you got your area here in the middle for your radiator. They're all big openings, so when you take this thing to a track, you have the best cooling possible, and that's what makes it look attractive in our eyes as enthusiasts. So with the Model 3, it has its own attractiveness. It doesn't have an engine, so it doesn't need all of this. So the fact that it's so sleek and the way it looks the way it does is because it has the lowest drag coefficient in the entire automotive industry. It is insane. So for me, that's what makes the Model 3 cool, and that's what makes the styling acceptable for me on that car, and this is what makes the styling acceptable for me on this car. They're both completely different vehicles really, but like I said, they are both performance sedans in their own right. Now, one thing I do want to point out is right down here, you are going to have this carbon fiber lip spoiler. It's going to lower as you get higher up in speed, which is really cool. And of course, you have areas over here with your sensors, and you've got your cameras up in the windshield for all of your adaptive cruise control, things like that. Then as you come to the side, you're going to have your 4-leaf clover right over here, which is going to be what Quadrifoglio stands for. You have these 19-inch wheels here, which are funny because I thought they would be a little bit bigger wheels, but you do have 19s instead of the 20s that you get on the Model 3 Performance. Now, I actually like these wheels. I think I would like them in 20s just because I feel like it would fill out the wheel wells a little bit better, but that's just my personal opinion. This doesn't have the carbon ceramics, but you can get those as an option. Then as you come down the car, you are going to have a wider staggered setup here in the back. So in the front, you have two 45 35s. In the back, you're going to have two 85 30s, and they're wrapped in Pirelli P0 Corsa tires, and these things grip like nobody's business. Then as you move to the back, you can see all the lines really starting to characterize the car. It looks fantastic. I love how you have this carbon fiber spoiler here in the back, and then this does have the optional carbon fiber roof as well, which looks really nice. And of course, being a car meant for the track, you guys can really see that this thing has got one of the biggest stock diffusers on a sedan that I've probably ever seen. So you do have that, and the overall car looks gorgeous. Like I said, I actually like the looks of both. They only have their own distinct personalities. It just depends on which one you like more. All right, so getting into the Giulia is very easy. Here is your key for the car. It's gonna have your lock, your unlock, hatch release, remote start, panic, and then it's gonna say Alfa Romeo in cursive on the bottom, which is pretty nice, and then your badge there on the back. Now this is a pretty large key. If you still like having a traditional key, obviously this is the way to go. With the Tesla, you've got your credit card and then your phone app, which I actually prefer in some ways, just because you can literally control the entire car with specifics and have it do exactly what you want it to do before you get in it. And then of course, Tesla has the unique summon feature, which the car can literally just drive up to you. So it is a more technologically advanced vehicle than the Alfa. Now, if you don't want to use your key to get in, you can just obviously keep it on your person, and you have a button right here. You push that, mirrors are going to fold in, and then there's a touchpad right behind there. You're going to put your hand there. That's going to unlock the car, but the mirrors will not fold out until you start the vehicle. All right, so shutting the door on the Alfa. Pretty decent shut. Sounds about the same as the Tesla, to be honest. They both have a little bit of rattle and everything going on, but once again, no big deal. And to start, just push this button right here. All right, so the first thing I want to point out about the Alfa is definitely going to be this steering wheel. Super cool. This has a $400 carbon fiber steering wheel option. So basically you get two pieces of carbon fiber right here, 200 bucks, 200 bucks, 400. So if that's worth it to you, you can get it. I think it looks awesome. It's just whether or not you're willing to pay 400 bucks for that. And then of course you have this aluminum piece here, start stop button, which I love. Your Alfa symbol actually looks really cool. I like the silver version of it versus the one with colors in it. I think that one looks really, really neat. And over here to the left, you are going to have all of your cruise control settings. Over to the right, you're going to have all of your media controls. And then you have these magnesium paddle shifters, which feel very substantial. Love the way they feel. Downshift over to the left. And right behind that, you are going to have automatic wipers. On the end of the stalk, you have a button that you're going to push, and that is going to scroll you through all of your different menus. And I'll get to that in just a second. And then over here to the left behind that paddle is going to be your turn signals, your automatic high beams, and on the very end of the stalk you have your lane keep right there. So let's look at this screen right here in the middle. Basically the way it works is when you push the button on the stalk, it'll take you through the different settings. So you only have 3 different screens to look at. You have your trip, you have your G meter, and then you're going to have your miles per hour, which is also going to double as a shift light whenever you put it into its race mode. Other than that, over to the left you have your tach. Over to the right you are going to have your speedometer, which does have your Quadrifoglio badge right there. And coming over here to the left, you are going to have a little bit more buttons over here. So you have your lighting right here, automatic lights. You're going to have your parking sensors. You can turn off your automatic start stop, interior lighting here, and then a little area to put like a wallet or something like that in, or maybe the key. And as you come up, you're gonna have a fully leather dash with red stitching. You got a speaker there, speaker in the middle, and then a speaker right over there. Then as soon as you get to the middle, I love this design here. It's very sleek, really smooth, definitely different from the Tesla for sure. You are going to have some carbon fiber here. And then you have your screen here in the middle. Now, I'm just going to state the obvious here. This infotainment system is not nearly as good as the Tesla's. As a matter of fact, personally, I think that Tesla has the absolute best infotainment in the entire industry right now. I'm talking over iDrive, over every single thing. I've only driven every car in the past 2 years, so if you guys still think that I don't know what I'm talking about, then that is just you choosing not to believe what I'm talking about. But this system is pretty decent. It's okay. You use this little controller here, and the only thing I don't like about this, if there's one major complaint about the interior of the car, it is this controller. Listen how cheap this thing feels. It feels so flimsy, like I can just flick it and it'll just pop off like that. But the system is not too bad. It has Apple CarPlay, which you're going to use 99% of the time. You're not really going to go through here unless you absolutely have to. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not a bad system, but in this video, since I'm comparing it against the Model 3 Performance, this is like, on a scale of 1 to 10, about a 4 in comparison to the Tesla. That's how big of a difference that infotainment makes. Now, the other benefit is you're not controlling 100% everything through this like you are on the Tesla, and it's got its back and forth all day long. But as an overall infotainment system, what you control and communicate with the car with the Teslas is more communicative, it has more, and it's just more responsive overall. Now with this one, not too bad, but I think you guys get the point by now. Then you have your cup holders here. You're gonna have a USB. You close this, you're gonna have a little bit more carbon fiber there. You do have this soft padding here, so if I rest my knees there, it's not going to be resting up against hard plastic. You've got more carbon fiber coming right here. It looks gorgeous. And then you have your drive modes here. So you can throw it into advanced efficiency, which is A. It's gonna light up green on here. Natural is going to be blue, and then dynamic is gonna be red, and then you have to click it all the way there to put it into race. It's gonna louden up the exhaust. It's gonna turn off all of your nannies. So let me do that again so I can show you guys. So you have everything turned off. Traction control, forward collision warning, lane keep assist, everything is going to be turned off. Now, there's only 2 modes that you can adjust the dampers in. Race is one of them, so there's 3 different settings for your dampers. If I go to drive, you can see this light color. That is gonna be your mid, and then off is the soft setting. So in natural and advanced efficiency, you can see it's soft setting. Medium setting, when you go to race, that is the highest setting. You can tell because when you're in race and I push this, it's gonna go to mid damper, and of course the mid was the light color, and then the normal damper is right there. And then if I go into dynamic, it's on the mid, and then if I push it, it's going to go to soft. So there you go. Over here to the right, you're going to have your volume, power to turn off the volume, menu, option button over here, electronic parking brake, and then you have your armrest, which is nice. Lift that up. You have 2 auxiliary ports, 2 USBs, 1 auxiliary, 1 12 volt, and a decent amount of storage in there. As you come up, you're going to have an auto dimming mirror. You're going to have LED lights in here. You don't have a moonroof because this does have the carbon fiber roof option, and then you are going to have home link right up here, as well as a vanity mirror. But that's pretty much going to be it for the front of the Alfa. It's actually pretty simplistic, or at least more on the simplistic side. Let's go ahead and check out the back seat and see the room. All right, you guys, so sitting in the back of the Alfa Romeo Giulia Quadrifoglio. Now, the biggest difference between this and the Model 3 is going to be overall space. So back here, you feel a lot more cramped, especially when you shut the door. It's going to make you feel like you're a lot more cockpit even than the front does. Now the headroom is roughly the same. I have a little bit more in the Tesla because of the glass roof, and I have a little bit more width as well. I don't feel like I'm going to be close to the person next to me. Even knee room is better in the Model 3, so I've got a little bit of space, maybe 2 to 2.5 inches of knee room, and this is with this seat set to my driving position. I'm 6 feet tall. My feet can slide under easily. That is a huge plus. The seats are up pretty high, so my feet can slide underneath with no issues. Now, the Model 3 had the completely flat floor. This is the polar opposite. This literally has the tallest middle hump I've ever seen, and I wish that was an exaggeration. It really is the tallest one I've ever seen. It almost comes up to the top of the seat. It's probably about 4 inches away from being parallel with this seat right here. So if you put someone in the middle, they're literally going to be straddling a horse. It's that crazy. You do have a USB back here though. You've got 2 vents. You've got an armrest, which is nice. I will say that the cup holders here are some of the most solid cup holders. I know that's random, but you notice these things when you review cars a lot. So I can put a cup in here. So for example, if I put this cup in here, it's nice and tight. It barely moves. And so if I have something in here while you're driving, and especially if someone were driving this, I'm assuming they'd be driving pretty quickly, it's not gonna fly out and it's not gonna get all over you. So that is a huge plus. The seats do sit pretty upright. about the same as the Model 3. I can't adjust them, which I also cannot do in the Model 3 as well. You have LED lights back here. You are going to have, of course, your handle. You're gonna have hooks for dry cleaning, things like that. And then, of course, you've got a little bit better materials because you have the Alcantara here in the middle. As far as the leather goes, even though the Tesla uses vegan leather or fake leather, whatever you want to call it, I actually like how it's softer and you sink into the seat more in that car. And this is just really firm, and I'm guessing would take a little bit of breaking in. Just some things I noticed, but it's pretty much going to sum up the back seat of the Quadrifoglio. Let's check out the trunk space. All right, guys, so coming to the back of the Giulia Quadrifoglio, you have a decent amount of room. You definitely are going to have more room in the Model 3 comparing the two, but it's still pretty decent. You don't have the area underneath the floor, which is really what's going to give the Model 3 its biggest advantage. The space is pretty similar, but I do think that this has a wider opening than the Tesla Model 3. You can also fold the seats down just like in the Model 3, but once again, you just don't have that big cavernous area underneath the floor, and that's what's going to make the back area more practical on the Tesla versus the Giulia. And let's go ahead and see what's under the hood. All right, you guys, so coming under the hood of the Giulia Quadrifoglio, there's a few things to note here. So first of all, this makes 505 horsepower. It's gonna make 443 pound-feet of torque compared to the Model 3 Performance's 450 horsepower, 471 pound-feet of torque. So the Tesla is going to make more torque. Of course, it's all instantaneous. Now, this does have a weight advantage because this is about 3,806 pounds, whereas the Model 3 Performance is about 4,076 pounds, roughly about that much. So you're talking about a 260 pound weight difference that goes to the Giulia. And then on top of that, that's going to be mostly due to the fact that this uses a ton of carbon fiber. You have a carbon fiber drive shaft, you have a carbon fiber hood. So you guys can see here, this entire hood is carbon fiber. The trunk is carbon fiber, the roof is carbon fiber, the trunk spoiler is carbon fiber, and then your front spoiler down here is going to be carbon fiber, and that's going to lower once you get above a certain speed to help keep the front end lowered. Now, this is in fact a Ferrari engine. It is definitely a Ferrari engine. It has the same engine code. It's gonna have the same bore and piston stroke. It even has a dead giveaway right here on top of the cover. It says V6 90 degrees. If you guys know anything about the degrees of V6 engines, there are almost no V6 engines that are at 90 degrees, but Ferrari's V8s that they use, and let's say the 488 GTB is going to be at 90 degrees, and it's also twin turbo. So this is essentially the same engine you get from, like, let's say a California T, maybe even a 488 GTB with just 2 cylinders lopped off. And that's why when you drive this thing, it feels like it can rev well beyond that 7,000 RPM rev limiter. So this thing is definitely a Ferrari engine, and that's the coolest part about this car is you're getting one of the most exotic engines in a more affordable package. So I think that's really cool, but then the other benefit or the other negative to that is probably going to be maintenance costs and things like that. So that is one sort of a big positive, big negative at the same time, but definitely excited to get this on the road. This is going through an 8-speed ZF transmission. If you guys know anything about ZF, one of the best transmissions without going to like a Porsche dual clutch, and this is going to be rear wheel drive, whereas the Model 3 is a single drive unit and it's going to go to all 4 wheels. They both have their thrills, so let's go ahead and get both on the road and see how they do. Hey everybody, so driving the Giulia Quadrifoglio. Now, surprisingly, it's not as loud when you're driving this thing. If I have the windows up, you almost can't hear the exhaust and everything from the outside unless you have the music off and AC down low, which is super surprising. Maybe that's good because it's so well damped in this thing, but it's really interesting. But anyways, I'm in my normal drive mode. I'm just gonna switch it straight to race. So here's the best part about the Giulia, the handling. Slap into its normal drive mode, floor it. Oh, this thing is a beast. It is so fast. And going into this corner right here, we're gonna do some handling. We're gonna see which one of these two can take this corner better. So 4th gear, hard on the brakes. 3rd gear is what I have to do in this corner. I have to chuck it to the left. Hard brake, chuck it to the right. Oh, there we go. Woo! And it is so fast. And when you hard brake, even in automatic mode, so hard brake, it downshifts perfectly for you, right where you need it to be. I actually drove this from Fort Worth, Texas to Austin, Texas, and it's a pretty stiff ride, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. And those roads on I-35, just taking the highway, are super smooth. So that is the negative. Once again, I understand this is a performance sedan. It's just the practicality aspect. That's just my observations living with it. I love the fact that it's stiff, don't get me wrong, but there are times when I don't want it to be stiff. I mean, especially when you have adaptive dampers like you do. I'm curious to see how the Model 3 Performance compares, so let's go ahead and hop into that. All right, you guys, so behind the wheel of the Tesla Model 3 Performance. 450 horsepower, roughly 471 pound-feet of torque, but once again, everything is instantaneous. So I'm super excited to drive this thing. Let's go ahead and do it. All right, so I do just want to say this is in track mode, so we're gonna see what this thing can do. Here we go. Oh, oh my gosh. Okay. Whew. Oh man, the regen is super aggressive. So the regen actually gets into its most aggressive form once you are in track mode. Now, coming into this corner, we're not gonna downshift or anything. I'm just gonna hard brake, let the regen help as well. Oh my gosh. Whoa, there we go, there we go. That was so quick. Now, the Tesla and the Giulia Quadrifoglio both have the same goal, but very different at the same time. So the Giulia is meant to be the fastest four-door sedan that you can buy, the fastest, most capable, yet daily drivable, livable, practical. And the Model 3 Performance has that same goal, especially with the new track mode, but at the same time it aims to be the most technically advanced vehicle and the most exciting EV that you can buy. Now, excitement is a relative term. Some people may think a P100D just going 2.3 is super exciting. And don't get me wrong, it's definitely exciting. But what I mean by this vehicle being exciting is this is the first true enthusiast EV. This has a mode that lets you really take it into corners. It handles well. It actually has feedback coming through the steering wheel, and on top of that, it really appeals to, especially my generation being 26 years old, the insane amount of technology and the fact that it's as easy as working your iPhone. The accessibility to all that and the ease of use is what is going to attract 99% of people to this car. And the fact that the acceleration is so effortless, and I can drive it hard, take it on some corners, and then on my way home from a track, I can throw into autopilot if I'm tired of hooning this thing around all day. It's just a crazy thing when you think about it. Gosh, it just is such a beast. Such a beast. Seriously. Oh, shoot. Man, guys, it is crazy. But let's go ahead and line this up next to the Giulia and see which one is really faster. All right, so we're gonna go on the third honk. I've got everything off. I am in just normal drive, and we're gonna do this thing. Here we go. Oh, I got the head start, but the Tesla is gone. Oh my gosh, that thing is gone. All right, you guys, it is conclusion time. So to sort of set this up a little bit, I do want to explain a few more things I did learn about the vehicles. So first of all, let's talk about fueling up and charging. So with the Model 3 Performance with a supercharger, you're paying at the absolute most $15 to supercharge your Model 3 Performance. That gets you anywhere from 280 to 310 miles of range, depending on how you drive it. Same with the Giulia. The worst range I ever got was 250 miles on a full tank. The best was about 305 roundabout. You can probably get a little bit more if you drive it really, really well, but there's obviously no fun in that when you're buying a Giulia Quadrifoglio. So the Giulia cost a little bit more. It's about 41 bucks to fully fuel that car from zero. And that was because when I filled it up here in Texas, gas prices were $2.93, and it only takes premium fuel. So that was the price for premium fuel here in Texas, and it's about a 13.5 gallon fuel tank. So that was the math on that, roughly. And the other thing to note with the Giulia is that it is the better handling of the two. After driving both, I can confidently say the Giulia is the better performance sedan. It sticks better, it corners tighter. The steering rack on that thing is the best I've ever driven, and I haven't driven Ferraris or anything like that yet. So as of now, that is the fastest steering rack I have ever used, and it feels incredible to drive. Now, with that out of the way, the Giulia, hands down, I would crown as the better performance sedan. I'd say even better than a BMW M3, ATS-V, C63S, any car that is in that bracket, especially the Model 3 Performance, the Giulia Quadrifoglio is the best performance vehicle. It just is. It is from the ground up built for the racetrack, and it is awesome. Now, that is the winner in terms of performance sedans. If you were to ask me which one I would choose personally, I think I would go for the Model 3 Performance, not because I'm a Tesla lover or anything like that. It's just for me and my personal situation, that car would make a little bit more sense to me. If I were to get that vehicle, my wife would have to drive it. She doesn't like things that are jerky. It's a good compromise for us both. She gets something extremely smooth. I get something that's really, really fast, even if it's just in a straight line. Now, don't get me wrong, the Model 3 Performance is a great handling vehicle. It's the best handling electric vehicle I have ever driven, and most of you will ever drive. It is the best electric vehicle when it comes to enthusiasts. It's not an astronomical amount. It's definitely attainable, especially in a few years when it's used. That is going to be one of the first enthusiast EVs, I can guarantee it. It's so much fun to drive, and I don't think I've ever been in an electric car that drives like that Model 3 Performance does. It's very impressive. The cheaper cost to charge up are more appealing to me, being 26 years old, and I love the tech, especially considering my age. Absolutely love the tech. It is something that for me is an absolute home run, and it really put the Model 3 up there for me compared to the Giulia. But that's pretty much going to be the conclusion. You have the Giulia as the best performance sedan, and then you have the Model 3 as the best overall performance sedan when it comes to everyday livability. Hope you guys enjoyed this look at both vehicles. There's really no loser here, so don't go away hating one car or the other. The one thing I love about my job is that I get to experience all kinds of cars. I love all cars. Doesn't matter what it's propelled by. It's electricity, if it's hydrogen, I love them all. If you can make it good, if you can make it as exciting as that Model 3 Performance, I'm 100% behind it. Thank you guys, hope you like this video. Subscribe if you like cars, and I'll see you next review. Y'all take care, bye.